Good evening, all. So we have come back with a very interesting topic, which is about business model innovation, how we think about innovating new business models, and what are the aspects that help us to understand how we can establish a new business, and what are the factors that we need to consider. Of course, there are a lot of factors that you have to consider, but just the understanding of how businesses operate and how you can build or envision particular business, or even think about different businesses, you would need a little bit of abstract thought about different concepts. And on this topic, I will talk about business model innovation. I will talk about different market business related terminology that can help you to think about business and can help you how to be an entrepreneur at one point in time. And it not only helps you to how to think about business, it helps you to think how you can innovate in a particular business. And on this topic, I shall talk. So basically, there are a lot of frameworks that you can start thinking about. The most famous framework is product market, and the very famous phrase is product market fit, which means that you should have a product or a service that address a particular need in a particular place. And when you think about markets, you should think about human needs. What are the human needs in a particular area or in a particular country? And these kinds of needs can come as food, water. Everybody will be needing food. Everybody will be needing water. Everybody will be needing clothes. Everybody will be needing telephone, some way of communication. Everybody will be needing some kind of interaction with others. Everybody will be needing, let me say, electricity. Everybody will be needing some energy, and so on. So you should start thinking about markets. What are the needs of the people? And it can help you actually to analyze where does people spend their money on, or where does the people on what does people spend their money on in a particular country or in a particular city, in order for you to help you to understand the market. Other questions that you need to think about the market, about consumer behavior, how people behave if they have been introduced for a particular product, how people behave in general towards different market categories. And by understanding deep understanding of consumer behavior, deep understanding of markets, deep understanding of what kind of market you are operating. So sometimes when I think about markets, I try to divide them. I think about a real estate market. This is a market that is associated with shelter and living. I think about food market, food and beverages market. This is a market about providing food. And I think about retail market, and this is a market about selling things through a retail shop and so on. So I start to think about a market from an industrial perspective, rather than from human needs. And I move between the two elements of the markets, between the real estate side, between real estate and thinking about the need for shelter. So I think about real estate, but a tent is not a real estate, but it can be a shelter. So I think about the human need, but also I think about some level of categorization, some level of market grouping that people has been visualizing and using for a long term. Other things that you need to think about is the product. And the product should be about, is my product addressing the need or the want in a particular market? And the product is about what competitions are available there. So maybe you would sell a particular kind of food, maybe you sell burgers and so on, but the market that you are trying to sell these burgers does not like burgers or does not eat burgers. Instead of that, they need food, but they don't need burgers. So you start to understand where does your product fit within the human needs. So other things that you need to think about product, how easily it can be created, how easily it can be copied, how I can make it, what is the time that is needed for this product to be built, and what are the elements that give it a competitive advantage. So you think about the long-term elements that is associated with your product. Also, it would be useful for people who are working with the technology fields or with things that are associated with long-term visions, that they think about their products in terms of long-term. So they have a vision that they would like to address a particular problem or a particular need. And this is, I think, so they think about our business should be addressing For example, the need for transport within 10 years, it should be the next, we should create the next generation of transport and so on, because the current transport modes has the different problem. There is a cost problem, there is efficiency problem, there is an energy problem, there is an environmental problem, and so on. So that's the first framework. You think about the market from product market and product market fit. So this is a very good model to think about different things. And I have told you a few things about market and product. So I will just elaborate a little bit on the market. The market, you should understand also, there is another framework that I usually use is market size and market access and market approach. How I will be accessing this market and how long it will take from me to reach a particular point to sell my products. So if you are selling things to consumers, it's completely different than if you are selling things to businesses. So this is a B2B, always people say this is a business to business relationship. So B2B, which you are selling to businesses, or you are selling directly to consumers. So business to consumers models they are completely different, and they have a completely different marketing approaches. And when you think about marketing, you should understand the time that marketing plans needs to be implemented, and how it can be implemented, and how it can help you sell your products. So one of the, for example, if you are just thinking about opening a shop, maybe the biggest factor you should be thinking about is location, and this is where your customers will be based on location and based on the amount of people that pass by your shop. Maybe the percentage of people that will enter your shop, 5%. Then you start thinking about things like market conversion. Then you start thinking about break-even point and so on. So the second way of looking at things is about market access and market approach. Another way, and also a very famous way, is about thinking about business as a problem solver. However, this way of looking at things is useful, but you should be careful about the following things. So sometimes there is a very famous term that your business should solve a problem. And I do think that your business should solve a problem, and you should have a good understanding of problems. So please look at my previous videos about how we can think about problems and how do we see problems. So if you look at business should solve a problem, this is a very famous phrase, which means you should actually identify a particular problem, a particular pain in the market, a particular situation where people are highly frustrated and so on. I do think thinking about solving a particular problem is a good thing, but in many cases, different people needs can be different. Different people needs and different people desires does not always tend to be to be aligned with solving problems. So sometimes people have problems and they are not willing to solve it, except if they have been introduced to a very superior product and so on. So not just solving a problem maybe is not the right way of looking at things, but maybe you should solve a problem in a very superior way. So yes, maybe if you think about business, I think I will solve this problem in a 10 times better than the current solutions that's available. So this is a way of thinking about 10x solutions, or solutions that is highly advanced, highly superior than what the market is offering at the moment, because the current market has a few constraints, have few things that a lot of people see as affecting them. So that's three frameworks which you should think about: market, product market fit. You should think about market access and market access and market approach. You should also be thinking about does my business solve a problem or not. Just to elaborate on the product, some products are very easily replicated, others are not. So also some products are sophisticated that people cannot easily copy, others are not. So you should also understand where does your product fit and how you can always improve your product, and should always think about technology to give you a particular advantage on your products and a particular advantage on the things that you create. That was a very general talk. Of course, the world of business is a completely more complex than this, and it's completely let me say, full of complexities, and complexities about competition, complexities about cost, complexities about let me say investment, complexities about revenue, complexities about economy, complexities about the available the gap in the market, and so on. But what I would say, this is a very general talk that can help you at least grasp a few fundamental concepts about market. And if you manage to grasp these concepts, maybe you would be able to start innovating on different business models. That was my talk. I wish you a great evening. I shall say salam.